And we're live?
We're live.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 92. Not 62, like I thought it was a couple seconds ago. Today we're talking about winter. We got Tim here, myself, Tyler, and Bo should be strolling in here as soon as he's done tuning a customer car. So,
Yep.
who do we got in here so far?
We got Arcane Shadows, Bill Kish, and Glenn Godfrey, apparently. He's already on winters in Hamilton, Ontario. You guys get any snow up there yet?
Yeah.
We might have our first snow this weekend, which I am not looking forward to.
Our first fake snow, though.
I'm rebelling, so I am still on my summer tires.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But I'm going to try my best to not have them touch snow.
Sorry for being late. There he is.
It's okay. There's the man.
We literally just pressed the button, so you're good to go.
Yep. No, it is Friday already.
Yep.
This week did go by pretty quick.
It was a fast week.
I got back from Mexico and last week, and that cleared my system out for a few days. So
Yep.
Yeah, when they say don't drink the water, definitely don't drink the water.
At least you wouldn't have to worry about snow tires down there.
No,
Yeah.
no, that was nice.
All right, so
But, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll start with I don't mind winter. I mean, I don't like the bitter cold of it, but I do enjoy getting the break on the pocketbook.
Yeah.
On the car, it gives you a chance to put it away and take care of some little things that you haven't had time to deal with.
all the stupid stuff that you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until spring, and then you're like, didn't
And
get
then it's
anything
May,
done.
and you're like,
I have a
"Ooh."
lot of things waiting for me that I don't want to do.
Well,
Yeah.
you got to build an engine, or put another engine in.
Yep. Gotta figure something out. Engine's coming out either way, probably.
Yep.
Bo, you've had a pretty consistent winter overhaul, right? Last couple years?
Yeah, I normally don't park without
Big
Doing a
plans.
huge,
Yeah.
Did you go turbo 2 years ago?
2 years
2
ago.
years ago. Okay, yeah.
Yep. And then this winter was the flex plate broke, so I did the trans and the aluminum subframe and the control arms and all the other finishing up the suspension stuff.
Nice.
So this year will be engine, and I'm going to get into the GXP too because that car we've just put 50,000 miles on like this, and I don't even know where it went, but I haven't done anything to it in 50,000 miles other than brakes. That
Just as long as you say you're putting an intake manifold on it.
Ooh, yeah.
Brandon Furches has a really nice intake manifold. I'm going to try when he gets it done. It's a Holly Sniper intake manifold with a custom power steering reservoir on the side because the power steering pump is in the way and you need a reservoir too. So it's a cool deal. But it should be 50 to the tire.
Nice.
The horsepower gains.
Yeah,
On an
that
intake manifold?
Yeah, that intake
Yeah.
manifold. If you've ever seen one, it has a half moon as an inlet because
Yeah.
it's got some dumb sensor right there.
Oil pressure sensors right there
Oh.
because the intake's actually on backwards comparative to a truck. And so it just takes up and they mush it down low to get under the hood and just a bunch of nonsense.
So what? And this is completely off topic from winter, but I read a whole article about the weirdness of the GXP, and I didn't know that LS4 in it is completely different. The
Yeah.
block is different. It has a whole different coolant assembly. I mean, obviously they had to fit it transversely.
It's the crank's shorter, the
yeah.
block's different. Really the only thing it carries over from a standard LS is the cylinder heads.
Yep.
Aside from that, it's totally just a thing of its own.
Yep.
One thing that's a little underrated on is that's a really neat engine for a V6 swap
Yeah.
because it's a short block, short crank. That was made to fit in that trend. So I don't know. It'd be neat to put in a vehicle that has a north-south V6 because it's probably not too much longer than
Oh,
it.
yeah.
The problem is just the bell housing because it shares the
Yeah.
65U bell housing. So you'd have to put a
Adapter plate to.
Yeah, you'd have to do adapter plate or the Camaro AR5 or not AR5. What was that 5-speed out of the older F-body Camaros with 3800?
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the one that
T5.
breaks when you look at it wrong.
T56,
Yep.
T5, something like that.
Yeah, because the T56 was the good one. The T5 came in the V6s, so
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be able to put much power through that though.
Yeah, I mean they're cool. They're just so choked up in the front wheel drive application.
And the 65E.
What was GM doing with transmissions then?
I don't know, because didn't
Well, the North Star gets the 4T80.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, not this thing. Not this actual performance sedan that we're making. Nah, it's just going to use the same thing.
But let's put Bilsteins on it and a G-force meter in and like all this other cool stuff. And they're like,
paddle shifters and...
trans-rated for 200 torque. Yep, that's good. That's all we
there
need.
was a problem with the torque converter that flew apart at like before 100,000 miles.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe just it not locking properly ruins it, and it sends stuff to something with the torque converter. I can't remember. Not to make this about an LS4 topic.
The more you know.
But
Yeah.
you're working on it, so it's
Yeah,
it makes sense.
We're gonna do some dang things.
JPL, welcome, Brad. Nice to see you. Glad I could get you that bearing link. Yeah, those are pesky. We're seeing more and more cars come in with F35s that need that bearing, and they're not cheap. So
No, they're not. They're
I might
like
be working on something.
$90 to $120 depending on where you go, and they're a bear to get in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
out, if you can get the old
Really?
one out. Well, the axle's normally stuck and welded
Seized, yep.
itself into the intermediate shaft because it just likes this little home in there. And
Is it the
20
intermediate
years.
shaft you can't get anymore?
Only 04 red lines you can't,
Oh, the
because
rest
they had
are.
a different one. But the rest of them you can find.
Yeah.
Like I know Crate Engine Depot still carries them, but
Well, these cars aren't getting any newer.
No.
I mean, the older they get, the more things that we've never heard of wearing out are going to wear out. I mean, there's a lot of cars out there with 250,000 miles on them. I mean, geez, it's impressive that they need as little as they do for having that many
Yeah.
miles.
yeah,
So you can't be mad when your intermediate shaft bearing goes out.
it's pretty standard operating procedure for us to check that on a clutch install anymore.
at least
lot of-
GM hasn't discontinued the part, which is
Yeah.
good.
A lot of people just have a weird noise and they don't know where it's coming from, and it's actually that intermediate shaft bearing. So if you've been chasing like a weird bearing-related noise that you can't find in the front end, check the intermediate shaft bearing.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Some good tips.
I kind of like that thing anyway. My base model car has just
Oh.
that long,
The long
axle.
Yep.
And when you punch it, it's light enough to where it kind of wants to spin, and it torque steers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's got to be because it's got that
Oh.
one tiny little axle. So you got one that's twisting, and then the other one's not twisting because it's like a third the length.
Yep.
So the intermediate shaft is a very large diameter shaft, so it doesn't twist as much.
Your car does love to burn the left tire.
Yeah.
Is there a any of the swaps you can do on the base model?
I mean, you could go to a F35, but
The F23 is kind of known to be a good tranny.
Yeah,
so.
the 23 is a good transmission. There's actually
no two-part shaft you
is.
can use with the
there
23?
is, but it's really obscure. It uses some Isuzu intermediate shaft, and then you have to get a different plate, and then I'm sorry, the intermediate shaft is out of some GM platform, and then the axle is out of an Isuzu. I saved some guy's post because he recently did it, but it's a lot of work. But if you're making some good power, like this dude has a 500 horse LNF with a F23 in it, and so it's needed. Because if you ever talk to Al, he had a 23 at like 600 horse, and he's like, every time I was at the half mile, you just kind of steer it the other way. At least it was predictable torque steer,
Yeah.
but
At my 150 wheel horsepower, I feel it, so I can't imagine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it would be insane.
Once we get the suspension dialed on the base model and we throw some boost at it, it's going to be a problem. So
Yeah, Terrell's Grand Prix with his manual swap uses that.
Oh yeah, yep.
Weird.
So
at least he's got a centrifugal, so it makes no torque. So
Doesn't either.
Going off what Tim said, what does being a car guy in the winter mean to you guys? How does that change your...
Well, the first thing is always snow tires. You got to put snow
Yes.
tires on everything.
Cool. You know what? I'm going to be a little Ryan Derek preachy here. If you get snow, more than a week, buy freaking snow tires, people. Stop being cheap. I'm going to sound like old man rant right here, but I can't help it. If you are in snow, buy snow tires.
Yep.
And then what is that? That gives you an excuse to have summer tires. just have 2 sets of tires. That's what you have to do. I'm sorry, but like
200 tread wears and tractor tires. That's what you need.
I just love it. Like I saw this meme go out, I think like Tuesday or Wednesday, of a whole bunch, like 20 cars in the ditch. And it's like, oh, look at all those people on their summer tires, didn't swap their snow tires yet. And it's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I've driven across glare ice on snow tires and it's fine. You know, you are not going to go 360 in if you have a legit set of snow tires.
Oh my! The first time I got a set of snow tires, I was on bald all seasons. I was pulling in Austin, you know, freaking sliding through intersections and stuff. And so I went to Discount and I was like, all right, give me some snow tires. And of course I was being cheap and I was like, oh well, what about only 2? And they're like, all right, well we're gonna put them on the rears. And I was like, oh that's dumb. All right,
That's
just
not
give me
gonna
all 4. And I remember pulling out of Discount Tire and there was probably 6 inches of snow on the ground and, you know, it's all packed. And I'm just ripping. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. It felt like a Subaru.
Yeah.
And then you get down to the ends of your snow tires and you put a fresh set on and you're like, oh, I'm a master of snow.
With snow tires, you can out-accelerate a 4-wheel drive truck from an intersection.
Yeah.
100%.
Don't even get us started on the all-wheel drive in the snow. It's not real.
And
It's
and
not
here's
real.
another thing. Okay, let's all-wheel drive in the winter. Great. It's great. However, all-wheel drive doesn't turn any better.
Nope.
It doesn't stop any better. Like
It
snow
just starts
tires are
moving
still
better.
needed.
Yeah.
It gives you a false sense of, yeah, everything's fine until you hit the brakes or turn and you're like, "Oh crap.
Yep.
I need snow tires." And hopefully you have that oh crap moment without crashing the car so you can go and buy them.
The lighter the car, the scarier winter is too.
Yeah.
The Echo without snow tires.
Ooh, I would not want to
it's a
drive
bad
that.
time.
Yeah. Step 1, snow tires, wipers. That's a big thing.
Yeah, that's
New set of blades, man.
That's a thing that you often overlook, and then you
Until
get
you need it.
then you need it, and you're just like,
Ooh, let's
Going
add
across.
to the new wipers. De-icer washer fluid.
Yeah, make sure you get the right kind in there before your windshield washer tank blows up
Yeah.
your fender well.
pay the extra $6 and get the Rain-X de-icer.
Yes.
And it works. You fire it up in the morning and spray that on, and you're
I've
good
never
to go.
used that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Game changing.
Game
Yes.
changing.
Huh.
Yep.
It's like your washer fluid is heated warm enough to get rid of like a 1/16 of an inch of ice off your windshield, like in like a few swipes.
I was always so jealous of how Subarus have the, like in your rear window,
Uh-huh.
they have the lines for heating. They have those on the wipers on the front windshield.
yeah.
Really?
I thought that was
Yeah.
neat too.
Yeah.
I never knew
Yeah.
that.
So you get in your car, front windshield defroster, and it heats up the wiper blades.
Wiper area.
Yeah, it just keeps your wipers from getting icy.
Hey,
Because
that's
when
pretty
they
cool.
rest, it's heated.
Yeah, speaking of those lines in the back windshield, the connection to those defroster strips on my base model fell off.
Oh, the sticky ones.
You get in there
The-
and solder that boy.
The sticky one, but then it's soldered on there, and I don't know if you can solder back onto the glass or what. But so now those don't work. So that's
Do you
unfortunate.
use your garage in the winter for car store, like for car drive?
Parking? No, because
No.
I usually have some S box in my side, and Erica parks in hers, so I park in the driveway.
Ah,
But yeah, even if you just find some Steelies, if you're a Cobalt guy watching, Malibus and Auras and all of the not G6s, but Malibus and Auras were also 5x110 for a while, and they came with like a Steely, but it had a hubcap on it. So go to the junkyard, buy those. They look decent enough. Throw some snow tires on them, and you're good. Somebody mentioned switch from E85 to gas.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Good idea.
yeah.
Reasonable. It's not horrible, but if you want to completely avoid all the
If
The
you have
hard
the means
starts.
to, I would. But if you don't, just
Yeah,
Sit there.
You
for a
can't, you
while.
can't use the
Yeah.
power anyway from it, so you might as well just switch.
yeah, that's true. And especially on Cobalts and Grand Prix when they're not flex, they're gonna hard start or you start it a couple times. Drain it out, throw
Tyler.
some 93 in.
Anybody that parks outside overnight, do you know about the carpet on the window trick?
yeah.
You just cut a piece of carpet that's about the size of your windshield, flop it on there overnight, walk out in the morning and just throw it on the ground. Clean windshield.
I got some extra carpet in the attic.
I learned that from like when I was in high school. My girlfriend lived in a trailer park, And we're driving through there. I'm like, what the hell? Why do all these people have carpet on their windshields? And then I saw that. I was like, whoa, that's okay.
That's a good idea.
All right.
I know they make those like fitted ones that attach to the mirrors and all that, but hey, carpet works. It's heavy.
Yeah.
You just
God dang.
Flop
good
it on the
idea.
ground.
Bill Kish has heated washer fluid.
what?
What?
How do you do that?
Just
Duramax.
new GM stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he probably gets to plug it in at night. So if you're gonna have the plug-in like block heater and stuff, I would imagine they would have a
That's
element
true.
in the washer tank too. Why
Yep.
not?
One thing that I know we don't do around here a lot, but Adam Wagner has kind of put on to me is winterize the bottom, which
Yeah.
is just spray some oil on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like
They do it in Canada. It's like required.
Uh-huh.
And you just in Canada they have these kind of cool drive-through shops, and you just go in, you pay them $50 or whatever, and you drive through, and it's a giant oil change pit, and they blast it with oil, and then you come dripping out, and then the thing to do is you just go hauling ass down a dirt road, and it covers
Gets
it, and
all
it gets
stuck
it all
up in there?
stuck up in there, and it's supposed to do good things.
Yeah.
So I might try that this
there's
year.
there's fluid film and then there's a chassis wax on Amazon that's pretty good. Either
okay.
of those work well. If you
See,
don't want to
I'm
use
just
real
a fan.
oil.
Just get a subscription to a car wash that has an underbody
Yep.
wash, and if you're paying a monthly subscription to it, you only have to do it for 3 or 4 months, let's say. I mean, you could just drive through that thing twice a week.
Yeah, that's what I do. I got the Tommies, and now car washes are so expensive for a single wash that if
Yeah.
your place offers a monthly subscription, it's probably only 2 washes worth.
Yeah.
So you go through it twice in a month, and you've paid for it.
Yeah, I always do the wash thing. I'm not a big fan of oiling the whole underside of the car. I oil the inside the pinch welds. Like, so I'll do the typical drill 2 holes in the door. Like open the door, drill 2 holes.
Yep.
And then you can spray it in there until it drips out of the pinch welds. So you know
Just
the
let it sit a
inside's
little
all
bit.
coated good. And then just, keep it washed after that.
Yeah, and just have little plugs that you can.
In the
Pop right in there?
when we used to drive the GXP in the winter too, I'd remove the rear fender well liners, do the whole inside of there, and then underneath the gas cap where it's dreaded to rust. Just hit all we're familiar with these cars by now and know where they're rust. Just try and hit all the spots where they're known to rust.
Mm-hmm.
With
It's actually a really good idea.
anything that's
The
gonna
classic GM gas cap rust.
Yep.
yeah
Was that the Impalas that got that, or the Malibus
yeah
that always had the?
they
like,
all do.
Yeah,
The
oh, yeah.
Bonnevilles especially. but
Bonnevilles, yeah.
the-
You'd see
another
any of
big
those
thing
driving around.
too. All of my GM cars have the foam in the front fenders for wind noise, and that foam goes right down to the bottom to the pinch weld, and it holds so much water that it never dries in there. So it'll just start rotting from the inside out.
Oh, I never thought about that.
And a lot of times you'll get a hole in the bottom of the fender just because of that foam's held moisture for 20 years. So the first thing I do is you can normally get it out by just reaching your hand in there and yanking it all out. But get that foam out of the front fenders.
behind the fender liner then?
Yeah, but if you just open the door, you can see it.
Oh, yeah. The Cobalts have those too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not many by this point, but
I always just yank it out of there. It holds leaves and water and just junk in there. You don't want to get all that in there.
Interesting. Cody says he puts sand or rocks in his front-wheel drive car in the trunk. That was always a trick I used when
Yeah.
I had a rear-wheel drive truck.
I've heard of people throwing some weight in the back. Makes sense.
Yeah, not
and
bad.
if you
idea.
get stuck, you can pour it out.
Hey, there you
Get
go.
some-
Oh, yeah. Good tip. Cat litter.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get stuck in your driveway, throw some cat litter under there. You get a little bit of traction, and you're good to go.
Or your piece of carpet that you're using on your windshield.
Oh, my
You
gosh.
use it for traction too.
Just shove it under there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. The one downside of the base model is I've always had it so low that it gets high-sided on all sorts of stuff. So I've gotten stuck in my driveway 4 or 5 times.
One thing I've done since I was in high school and been in a ditch before is before winter comes and you end up in the ditch, look under your car and be like, where am I going to hook this if I need to? So when
Oh,
it's
yeah.
in the snow and absolutely buried in your freezing cold, and the dude pulls up and he's like, hey, hook your own stuff. And you're like, yup. And you just go, whoop, got it. You're not like, well, maybe here. Oh, no, not there. Well, there's snow here.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
know right where to go with that strap.
I think somebody mentioned it, but this is something I'm a pretty firm believer on too, is have a like bag of necessities in your trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Gloves
maybe
and-
a change of clothes, a change of socks, a change, a blanket. Like
Yeah.
just in case you stuff it in a ditch on a really bad day.
Yeah.
Let's say a stick spears your radiator so you can't like run the car and run the heat until they get there. Like, just a little oh crap bag.
Yeah. Little
Yeah.
Would be
care
a great
package.
idea.
Yep.
Maybe even throw a granola bar or something in there. I don't know. I mean,
Not a bad idea. Yeah. And jumper cables.
Yep.
Yo,
I had
geez.
that last week.
Yeah.
Or was that earlier this week? Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna.
I mean-
It's gonna be -40 one day, and the winds are blowing, and you come out from the store or something, and you can't start the car.
Yep.
And then
Because your battery might be fine now, but as soon as it hits 25 degrees,
Yeah.
it might not be fine.
it's not happy.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
had
gonna
that.
send myself a note right now because I actually need to get a couple sets of jumper
Well,
cables.
not even jumper cables if you're really cheap, but they make such nice like jump packs that are like $60 on
Yeah.
Amazon now.
Yeah.
I have one of those. The battery is. I mean it.
Yeah.
It just looks like
Toss
a
it right in your
charger
trunk.
battery.
Yeah.
It's like this big, and that thing will jumpstart almost anything.
Definitely the way to go nowadays.
And we all have little 4-cylinders, so they don't need much.
Yeah,
to-
it's not like we're
yeah.
trying to crank over a Duramax.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, emergency kit. Any tips for long-term winter storage for the ATS? Yeah, definitely take your RT660s off. Put those somewhere warm and off the ground.
Yep.
A lot of people say run the fuel low. I've never had issues over one winter.
I never worry about that.
I
Yeah.
always do the opposite. I fill it to the brim
Yep,
and
I'm
then
with
park
you.
it because you leave less room for oxygen in the tank for
To create
Condensation.
moisture,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if the tank's full and there's no air in it, then you're not going to have a problem.
I
And-
honestly if it's empty, if it's full, it doesn't matter to
Then
me.
just
I
like
don't
park,
care.
see you in the spring.
Basically, pull the the summer tires off or something, but then that's it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
disconnect the battery. Like, don't put a battery tender on
Yeah,
it.
you don't need to put
God,
a
like,
tender on it.
That's so stupid. Just freaking disconnect the battery.
I always worry too, like if you leave the tender on it and what happens if it sparks
Yeah.
or something and you're not home, but you disconnect the battery, it's not going to go anywhere. The juices are
That's
going to
like
stay in there,
The best, safest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or
I'm
even
just-
better, if it's a summer winter car, just put a nice shut-off switch correctly wired in there.
Oh, there you go.
Just
I just,
Yeah.
Feel
I
like
just,
a race car.
yeah.
I just top her off, take the 200 tread wears off, and unhook the battery. Done. Put the cover on it because I do have a fitted cover for both.
Really?
Yeah. A cover. That's some bougie stuff there.
I used to use sheets. I used to just leave it open, but anymore I got a fitted cover for both.
Yeah, do you
I'm kinda
park
hope-
outside too? Because you leave both the projects inside the garage?
Yep, full park outside.
In fact, I want to steal the ZZP ATS car cover for this winter.
I didn't know we had one.
Yeah, we've got one around here somewhere. It was like a lot of money back in the day. It was for a wallpaper car, but we don't
Oh
use
yeah,
it.
because it was on wallpaper car and the wind, because it had that matte wrap, it
Yep.
rubbed into it.
But I mean, it wasn't an outside cover.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You can't put a car cover on a car outside. Like the wind is going to beat the paint off of it. So, but yeah, I need to find that.
Randy, I don't know. You tell us about air suspension in the winter. I know people have issues with getting like water in the lines, and
That's
Oh.
actually great.
I mean it's just a compressor, so you're gonna have water and ice. But yeah,
I
don't
would
know.
just take some cat litter and just throw it in the air tanks. Maybe put some in the shocks too, just to like absorb the water.
Or what about those little the little bags that they say
Oh,
do
yeah.
not eat that come in shoes and
Yeah,
stuff?
but break them open.
The beef jerky
Break them
bags.
open and throw them in there.
The forbidden snack that Ernie likes to play with for whatever reason. I always see him batting those things around. I'm like, where did you find that? Yeah, park it inside is a good thought, but we don't all have that luxury, or
Yeah.
we just buy bad financial decisions and
Yeah, just
don't have the
Now
room.
let's talk about like winter beaters. Like I am such a fan of having a winter beater.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's there's a lot of wear and tear in your car driving your car through the winter. Let's say like my ATS-V. Yeah, you could totally drive an ATS-V through the winter, but your carbon fiber lip is going to be scraping snow all the time. So I mean, why not use winter as an excuse to buy something fun and different?
Yeah.
You know, like we've had a lot of conversations about it. I thoroughly enjoy driving like a beater car sometimes, like a car that you don't have to worry about, you know, door dings. Like I still don't want any door dings on my car, and I still park way out in the middle of nowhere, even though it's an ugly car. But like, you know, just having a car that you don't have to care as much about.
Mm-hmm.
I always have a winter beater. Always. My problem is when suddenly I don't want to even drive the winter beater in the winter. I want to keep them all safe.
That's true.
Saw a TikTok the other day, and it was like,
Need a winter beater for your winter beater?
I got a daily, and then I need a daily for the daily, and then I need a daily for the other daily. It's like that's that hill that we all roll down.
I just messaged these guys just like 2 days ago, and I'm like, wow, crap. Like, do I drive the base model through the winter, or do I drive the Sonic? The Sonic's nicer, and then like everybody's like, you know, just kind of told me what I needed to hear. Like, just drive the darn Sonic. Like,
Yeah.
It is just a Sonic. It's super nice, but like it's a nice car.
Yeah,
It's not a Lamborghini.
Like it's not the ATS-V. That you should be shot if you drive that through the winter. If you can afford an ATS-V, then you can afford a winter beater.
I mean,
on.
the days of $1,000
Well,
beaters
what if you
is
have,
gone, but
like, a McLaren and the ATS-V is your winter.
Yeah,
beater?
like
that would be a flex.
Well, we get some dudes in here who are like, well, I got this and that, and the wife drives the ATS-V as the daily, and I'm like, must be nice.
Must be nice.
You keep talking about Rangers, you're gonna get me going.
Yeah,
I love Rangers for winter beaters.
Rangers, Jeep,
S10s,
S10s, Jeep Cherokee XJs,
Blazers.
yeah, any of those small early 2000s vehicles.
Yeah.
great winter cars.
I've been looking unsuccessfully for the past few years for S10 or a Blazer that's in good enough condition where I would want it, but cheap enough where it would be, you know,
Not
the
perfect.
Yeah. But man, any of them around here are just rusted to all hell.
Yeah.
What's cool about those is they blow rear ends all the time, so you can find them quite often with blown rear ends. Because what I always want to do is get a S10 Extreme and like LSJ swap it. Like,
oh my,
that would be amazing.
yeah, the Colorado Extremes,
Yep.
or what are they called?
Oh, the Colorado, yes, the Extreme is cool. One thing I love about Colorados is they're used so much for like the Napas and the auto parts stores that you can find those all over the place with like 150 million miles on them.
Yeah.
So you just get one of those, and they're really basic. So the stuff that wears out is like,
Yeah, they're not
you wrench it.
complicated.
Okay, your heater dials are worn out. Like you go to you wrench it, and you get some mechanical, you know, ones out of one with 100,000 miles on it.
Put them in your pocket, you're good to go.
200 pounds of rocks or sand or frickin' water softener salt in like behind the tires up against the tailgate, and you can drive through about anything with a two-wheel drive truck.
I loved my Colorado in the winter. I put 400 pounds of sand in the back, and you could drift that thing anywhere. It was so much fun.
400 pounds?
I don't
Holy
know.
crap. Oh,
I went to
gotta
Home
say,
Depot
that
one day, and
sounds
I was
reasonable.
just like, give me $70 worth of sand. And they're like, you sure? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I threw it all in there. I was still on all seasons, too. I only got stuck once.
Speaking of good winter beaters, or good cars, just for whatever reason in the winter, W bodies. Like, I remember in high school, because none of us had good tires.
Yeah,
all of our
no.
cars were terrible.
Yeah.
But all of the W bodies could get anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was when you're 6 dudes deep in a Grand Prix.
Jeff Gordon, one of our customers, he got a Scion XB for free from his buddy. He like didn't want it anymore or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, sweet, new winter beater." And then a couple days later, he sends me a photo of a Grand Prix engine bay, and he goes, "They want to trade for the XB," and I'm like, "Dude, if you want a comfy winter beater, a W body is where it's at."
Is it just the weight? Why they're so good at just
Weight.
Well,
and
they've
wide
got like
and-
12 inches of ground clearance.
Weight and torques, baby.
They're heavy, so they have a lot of weight on the tires. You
Yep.
know, like it's It's an amazing. It's got a lot of weight on the front too. Like it's a pretty front heavy vehicle.
Definitely done some dumb things in a W body in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3.6 liter, supercharged, makes good heat too, quick. Like
Makes good.
They do.
Some of these 2 liters you idle for too long, and it's like,
I know.
I'm cold.
That's fair.
We were just talking about our lacrosse that Erica and I had for a couple years this week. That thing had the hottest heat and the coldest AC ever. It had remote start, and you'd remote start for like 5 minutes, hop in there, and you were baking. It was so hot.
Was that
Yeah.
factory remote start?
Oh yeah.
Really?
That was the only option that car had.
It was a pretty common option from like 04 and newer.
Yeah, it was a 04, so
Wow.
What I like about old cars too, like we were talking about '90s cars and maybe early 2000s, is that they're really cheap and easy to put remote start in.
yeah, they don't have
So-
any fancy electronics, so you
I
buy the
am
Viper
such
kit
a fan.
for $150 and wire
I'm
it
not a
up.
fan because they always act up.
They do. The aftermarket ones kind of stink.
Yeah.
But if you can
If
find
you do it right, I suppose.
if you can find a factory remote start car, that is a very slept on winner feature.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I love it. You can run the car at least twice,
Yep.
because the timer is like 10 minutes. But like, I mean, 5 minutes and then jump in it, and you're gonna have heat within 2 minutes. Like it's remote start is a must, like an absolute must in my opinion. Like I don't know. I probably should talk to Randy about it, but like I really want to put remote start in my Sonic. There's got to be a way to put a metal position sensor in the neutral position,
Yep.
and then have a remote start.
So it wouldn't let you if it was in gear?
Yeah.
That'd be neat, yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, it wouldn't be too bad.
just find
Randy,
one
H3?
location.
Yes.
Yeah, H3. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, I don't know why an H3. I mean, H3 really isn't even a Hummer anymore. It's a
No.
It's Colorado.
It's a Colorado.
Yep.
yeah.
It's on the 355 platform. But the Alpha with the stupid little 3-foot bed.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the one. They're tough to find though. You never see them. They just kind of disappeared from the planet. I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but I saw a mint Rendezvous driving around. I mean, immaculate. It was like that gross mint color, but it didn't have a speck of rust on it. And I'm like, how in the world does anyone in 2022 have a mint Rendezvous still?
Wow.
My mom had a Rendezvous,
Yeah.
and it got the worst gas mileage. I don't remember what went wrong with it, but it was not a good car. It was not a good car. But we did find out apparently they have a cool aluminum crash bar.
Yep.
So
I'm gonna
Mr.
go rob me one.
Bocob needs himself one of those.
Yep. Both cars are getting an
Just
aluminum crash
man
bar
up
upgrade.
and get a big enough intercooler to take place of that thing.
I don't really need one. I'm on Baby Boost, and
But you want to road course it,
Baby Boost, and my IATs are always 5 degrees within ambient.
and you haven't been on a road course
You
yet.
do how many pulls at Gingerman? 15, 16 a lap? Times that by
Yeah.
20 minutes? 70 pulls back to back?
Sounds fun.
I would probably look into. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about this. I don't know what you think, Tyler, but I was thinking about getting like a meth kit for road course next year, and have it activated somehow, like when something happens, maybe.
For
Like above
cooling,
an IAT?
You're saying?
Yeah, like have some kind of triggered meth kit with a tiny nozzle that just squirts a little bit of like E98 in.
This sounds like complicating things for no reason at all, Tim.
Just to keep
This
it
is like-
safe.
You sound like a customer emailing in right now, being like, well, could you 1.0 tune my meth kit to come on when my IAT sees this?
Yeah, I don't think it would be that complicated.
Randy says no meth on road courses. Are you referring to the drug or the?
He's talking about a rule that you just might overlook.
Well, that's just
Oh.
like every
If you
road.
can't see the tank, then
Every
it's
road
not there.
course says you can't have coolant in your cooling system,
Yeah.
but no one. Okay, so on this,
That's a rule?
yeah,
Yes.
every single
Same with the drag strip.
every single tech sheet says
Really?
You
no
can get
coolant.
fined for it, technically.
Well,
Yes.
because if you overheat and spill coolant, it
It's a
is
bad
really
time.
hard to clean up. But so on that note, when I first got my first crappy Ion, I read that when I went to Grid Life for the first time, and I was like, oh man,
Are we talking about a coolant leak or a fuel leak?
not the fuel leak. But so I read it, and I had never been to the road course, so I'm going out, get my car ready for the beginner session, and they're like, oh, no coolant. All right, I better. So I drain all the coolant out. I put water and water wetter in, and I went and I drove, and then, I melted through the gas tank, so that was no good. But the water did fine. But then I forgot to take out the water before winter.
Yeah.
And it was one day, and I remember I was like looking at the weather, and it was parked in the driveway, and I was at work, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna be 26 by the time I get home. Oh crap!
Oh,
So I
still had that?
Oh yeah, I still had the water in the intercooler system and in the coolant, and I ran home, and I drained it all out. And then I didn't start the car until the next spring because I was afraid that I had frozen the block through or something, and it was fine. But yeah, there's another winter tip. If you actually do change out your coolant for water for road course or track or whatever,
Don't leave it in there.
don't leave it in there because water freezes really easy, and you don't want to crack a block.
Yeah, that'd be bad news.
One of me and Adam Wagner, his buddy, bought a Civic that the dude used for track-only use, and when he bought it, it had water in the coolant system, and he didn't know that, and so he parked it.
Oh, no.
He bought it, and then he left it outside before he could start working on it because it had some problems or whatever, and then he went to start it up, and it had cracked the coolant jackets because all the water had frozen.
I'm glad you actually brought up this subject because, I don't know how many people like to do this, but I love going to Texas and buying vehicles and driving them here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a warning to anybody that does that, they don't run the same mixture of coolant, and they don't run the same mixture of washer fluid.
Oh.
So if you get that car back, if you drive that car to Michigan from
I've never
Texas,
thought about that.
you better fill the washer bottle with some good washer fluid, and you better at least test the coolant in your radiator, because I've ran into both things freezing on vehicles I bought from Texas.
Oof.
Fortunately, the mix was just enough to be slushy and be
slushy.
not.
Did you unscrew the reservoir and look down in and you
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Why isn't this car getting warm? And then you unscrew the radiator cap and it's slush
It's
in there.
slush.
It's like, holy crap! You know?
I would. Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
scary.
So add that to the list. If you bought a used car, you haven't changed the coolant.
Yeah.
Maybe now is a good time.
Yeah,
Just fresh everything.
You're supposed to do it anyway, and nobody does. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great idea to just dump it and put some new fresh
That
stuff
is one
in.
of those things nobody changes for hundreds of thousands of miles.
No, I just take the engine out once a year. It gets all new.
That's a way to do it.
Didn't the last time you left the oil in the... Weren't you telling us that? You
Oh
left
yeah,
the...
I changed the engine sooner than the oil. Like the engine came out and went back in between an engine. Well, yeah, it was right before Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I was like, man, we got to get this trans fixed. I don't want this oil is brand new. It's got 1,500 miles on it. Like,
It's
pulled
good
the
to go.
stick is good. Didn't even unscrew the oil filter. Just yanked her out of there, put it on a stand, and dropped her in.
Yep.
Yeah, I've done that before. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've been upset with me before. I've had engines and cars and blown them up before. Yeah, it happens. You put big old turbos on ATSVs and then go trying to make 800 wheel horsepower and oops.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Wow, who's that guy?
Yeah, Eric, we got a spammer here.
Yeah.
Kill it.
Private photos. Oh boy.
Yeah, super block that. Or whatever you do. There it goes.
Hello, Frankenstein, whoever you may be. Randy, I didn't know the H3 Alpha came with a 5.3.
Yep.
Yes, I tuned one actually. I don't think they never put it in like a single cab. They only put it in like the extended cab or the 4-door or something like that.
I do know
but yes.
some of the later year Colorados. I didn't know the H3 had one too.
Oh, okay.
The Alpha Edition is stupid rare though. Or it is now.
Oh yeah, didn't we find one on Marketplace?
It was
and
25 grand or something crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of like a coupe Solstice.
Yeah.
You find one of those, it's 27 grand.
Oh my gosh, and they're so ugly. I don't know.
Mixed feelings.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm on one hand I've always liked the BMW Z3, the clown shoes.
Yep.
I've always thought those are cool
Man,
cars.
When we were down at Tail of the Dragon, there was probably 50 Crossfires there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They were
Oh.
staying in our what was it? The thing we were
Fontana.
at. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the Crossfire
I've
dudes.
always liked Crossfires. I think
They
they're
remind
neat.
me of the Solstice too.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is that they have terrible taste.
Oh,
There was
Really?
like one that was kind of cool, if I recall,
Maybe one.
and
Yeah.
all the rest of them were hideous.
they're like the
Ooh.
AutoZone badge stick-on vents
Oh,
and
no.
everything.
ugly
like,
wheels, like just terrible. There was one that was kind of racy looking, and it wasn't even like
Good.
our level cool. Like
Yeah.
any one of us sitting here could make a Crossfire like really sweet, and none of them did that. But one guy was like,
They all had this cold air intake with 2 filters right in the front grill. Like it came around. There's 2 filters there. Oh yeah.
Did you know those came with a Mercedes V6?
Oh yeah.
Yep. But the cool AMG ones, or SRT6 that they called it, were supercharged, but you could only get them in auto. But you could potentially buy a base model one and put a blower on it.
Sounds like
So
GM
that's the
stuff.
move.
We're
Yep.
gonna give you something cool, but not both cool things.
Yep.
You can just have one of the other cool things.
Yeah.
You can't have both together.
You got to buy both and then like piece them
Kind
together.
of
mash 'em
like
up.
GM with absolutely nothing all-wheel drive has a cool engine.
Yeah. Why did they
Until
do that?
yeah, here we go, the Escalade
Yeah,
V or
Escalade
whatever,
V.
you know. But like that's a $140,000 truck. I mean,
We could have bought our house again for what
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
Escalade V costs.
I mean, they teased us with the first Grand Prix GXP. Remember that one? The
Oh.
the
Yeah.
version 1 body style. Well, I don't know what body style it is, but the
Was that
wide
all-wheel
track
drive?
body style. Yes, wide. It was 3,800 all-wheel drive,
Yeah.
but
Really?
it never made it. Like I guess it broke a whole bunch of times,
Yeah.
which doesn't make
sense.
any
It was-
sense because it's not that hard. Put like a truck drivetrain in it and you're fine. Like
It was a like a 97 303 Grand Prix
yep.
with an LS4, and it used the Aztec all-wheel drive system.
Did it have the V8 in it?
It had the V8 in it too.
Oh, did it too?
It was the G8. That's what they
Okay.
called it.
Oh, the G8. Okay, it wasn't the GXP.
I don't know what they were doing, but they called it the G8
Okay.
The G8 would be a cool all-wheel drive car.
because
Yeah.
G8
Yeah.
is just Generation 8 Grand Prix.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
which is why all the Grand Prix dudes moved to GTOs
Yeah,
and
because
G8s.
like the 04 Plus is the 7th gen.
Okay.
Yep.
Then
That
it
makes
went
sense.
to the G8. Yeah, I don't know. It's something weird. They made one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, Noah, the GMC Canyon came in the 3.5 or the 3.7 5-cylinder, and they sound so good. The early years, though, suffered from really bad head gasket issues, and then apparently timing chain issues, and, just good old... And they came with 4L60Es, so they're...
Nothing detrimental.
Just you need to rebuild the transmission and all that, but... Frankenstein has an off question, but a TVS on a 3800. I know Ed LaBarge has one,
Yep.
and I think you have to have a custom adapter plate and
Just the intercooler adapter plate. Yeah.
Oh.
And somebody buy that one on Facebook Marketplace with a TVS.
There was a
Bonneville.
Bonneville with a TVS on it.
why didn't you buy it?
And it had
Tim
all-
shoulda bought it.
It had all. He always talks about you need to buy the SSEI, then you need to put the GXP front and rear bumper on it and the taillight panel.
Yep,
Yeah.
And this
you
one
do.
had those swapped on it.
Oh.
And the interior, and I'm like, Tim, this is all you.
Was it the
bud."
pearl white too?
No,
it's
if it-
silver.
You know, if it was,
Yes.
it would have been mine. It was $4,000, and I'm like, man, like, it was silver, right?
Silver.
It was my least favorite color
yeah.
of all colors.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, if that was my pearl white, my
Yeah, the problem with it was
gold mist or whatever.
Yep, the gold mist
it
metallic.
had all the parts, but when you looked at it, it just didn't give you that I need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There,
Like,
there
the
are
idea
some
was
cars
cool, but-
that, that was like that LNF I bought this week. I saw it in the morning and I was like, yep, I need it. I didn't care what was wrong. I saw the price, I saw the car, and I was like, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
so
me.
so tell
You're
everyone
coming
about
home
your
with
new
me.
Cobalt.
Oh, yeah. So,
Winter beater.
Yeah.
if I'm sure most of you guys aren't following me on Instagram, but I posted and I have my first LNF Cobalt, which I have almost completed the fleet. I have a 2.2, I have a LSJ, and now I have an LNF. I picked it up. It's like 125,000 miles. It's got a Gen 3. It has some trans issues. It could be a roll pin, could be a trans itself, but I, of course, in my pack rat ways, have a brand new F35 in the garage, so we've got that covered. But it's pretty slick. The wrap is a little rough. It's got some nice wheels on it. It's got some horrible suspension, but it should make a good little project over the winter, and then
Keyword project.
we'll see. Yes, it's definitely a project.
I wish it was more stock so we could do a LSJ
know.
build series all over again.
Well, I was talking to Eric a little bit, and once I get the trans fixed and it's drivable, then I would like to do a little bit of a build series. It has some parts that I'd like to change out, and I know you guys like seeing Cobalt content, so
oh yeah.
if we can make some more videos. Yeah, Ryan is
finally
proud,
Yep.
which is half the reason I want to sell it. Just to spite him. Even though it is a really nice car.
Yeah.
But,
You're
I
just
don't
an
know.
LSJ boy.
I am. I don't know why. It's only because I bought an LSJ first,
Yeah.
and so I've stuck to it. But, I mean, LNFs are good except for the throttle. So, yeah, later year Monte Carlos did come with the LS4, and then so did the Lacrosse Super. Or
Yep.
no,
Yep. My
yeah,
brother has one.
Yep, Lacrosse Super, which is one heck of a sleeper. The Bonneville, unfortunately, came with the North Star.
Yeah, I'd probably have one if.
But did the
those
North
Bonnevilles are
Star
nice.
Bonneville have the 80?
Yes. Yep, I always kind of like that engine. Yeah, it's got some like head gasket issues, I believe, but the North Star V8 is actually a really good sounding engine.
It does sound really good.
Obviously, you have the whole equalizer problem.
Yeah.
You know, I'm judging the noise based on my friend had an XLR, and the XLR
yeah.
had the North
Yep.
Star V8 in it. And all he did was like a magnifier muffler and resonator delete, and
Did
it
not sound
sounded
good.
amazing. So if you get a GXP
Really?
Bonneville, it would, but you're going to have the unequal exhaust that you're going to have to deal with.
My first car was almost an Oldsmobile Aurora with.
Oh
the
yeah,
North Star in it.
yeah.
I loved those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially the second gen one.
Yep. My
The
dad
weird tail light.
my dad had a second gen Aurora with, I think it had the V8, and that car at the time
It
was
was-
so slick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had that, and then he had his Bonneville, and he had an SSEI, and he still to this day will say that was his favorite company car that he's ever had.
Really?
The
Yep.
Aurora is what the Riviera should have been.
Yep.
Yeah. Like the Riviera was neat, but they didn't quite get it.
Oh, they're so
The
ugly.
Aurora, like they got it. Like that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yep. Every once in a while, you'll see a nice clean one with some old guy in it, and I'm like,
Yep.
nice to see that.
Yeah,
on the road.
those disappeared too. I saw one last year, and it was the burgundy color, and it was mint, and I'm like, oh, I'll take it.
And Oldsmobiles were just nice. They're just nice cars, and then you put the North Star in it, and how can you go wrong?
Why was it
I would
even
winter
called
beater
the
one.
North Star? Like what?
I don't know where the North Star name come from.
I remember how they were.
I heard LNF shit talking about me. Don't make me come up here and throw this table on y'all.
Oh, we're talking about North Stars now. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
You want to hop in?
Absolutely not. Tim, you're supposed to be my LNF buddy up here.
We're talking about how LNFs are good winter beaters.
We we haven't said too much negative about LNFs. I'm a big LNF fan. I'm an LSJ fan too, though. So it's like
No, you're my team. You
They're-
gotta keep all these guys in mind. Don't let Mr. Ford kids over here talk about LNF being winter beaters.
Only platform car I'm driving this winter is an LNF.
Tristan, you don't need 80s. Just go 60s.
for sure.
Not
Tristan,
60 cc, but 60 pounds.
60s, yeah, 60 pound for sure.
Tristan.
60s
Hey,
are
what's up?
more than enough for a V3. In fact, they're kind of too big. Like 42s are more than fine. 42s will handle E85 on a V3. However, if you're thinking about going to Z04, then just go with the 60s for sure, because 42s are not going to support a Z04.
Nope, you need.
Same for Grand Prix guys. Don't do the 42s. Just go right to the 60s. The cost is similar, and they'll get you way further.
Yep.
Everybody
trying to
always
read
gets a
these.
42 and then it has E and then runs out. It's very common. I see it on Sonics and Grand Prix all the time.
Yeah, I put 42s in my Sonic, and I turned it up to 10 basically, and when the weather would get cool, I would run out of fuel.
Yep.
So what I did was I just unlocked the FSCM and it cranked up the pressure from like 60 to like 75 pounds, and then it was fine.
Yeah.
Completely fine. It maxed the injectors, but it was fine. In like throughout the winter, because I drive I run E85 throughout the whole winter.
Yeah.
I don't like I like the smell of E85. I hate the smell of burnt gas.
Oh my gosh,
So it's just
the LNF I bought has a catless downpipe and a straight pipe, and it's on 93. So you start it up for a minute or two, and you're just like, oh, is this the amusement park or what?
yeah.
Man. Man, that thing is so hot, boy.
It is so hot, boy. I know, I was telling the guys, I was like, it's really nice, but it was also done kind of hot boy-y, you know. But
Did you say it has a muffler delete?
it has a full straight pipe.
Yeah.
Like full turbo
Oh,
back,
gosh.
Turbo back straight
3-inch.
Just tractor screamer. The only thing that's kind of cool is you can really hear the turbo, so that's
Yeah.
kind of neat.
I would allow an LNF straight pipe if it made 600.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, I don't want the weight or I don't want the restriction, I got the straight pipe exhaust.
I'm
and
going to
I
go
raise
ahead
it.
and say you're full of crap. Straight pipe is never better. Please quote me on that. Straight pipes suck on everything. I don't care if you're making 1,000 horsepower. Put some kind of resonator or muffler on it. It's going to sound better.
Yeah, I'm with Tim on this one.
Yeah.
Straight pipes are not good.
I'm not saying I
although
would do it. It's the only excuse I would give it.
I see why the guy didn't do our resonator, because the car is pretty dumb low, and I was pulling it in the garage, and even then it was scraping. So, you know, yeah, it's low.
It looks super low for sure.
Sounds perfect.
It's lower than your base model?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had parked the base model in front of it when I got home the other day, and the base model's not super low right now. It's a little raised from last year, and I parked it in front of it, and I'm like, oh boy, this is a tall car. So we're gonna have to lower the base model, is what I'm saying.
Basically.
Yep.
Man, my base model's up in the air too. I was looking at that thing today. I'm like, oh my gosh.
On those 18s, it is so tall.
245 45s. Like, oh my gosh.
And no side skirts.
Yeah.
And at least you have the front lip, but without the side skirts and the rear bumper, base models look really tall.
Yeah.
I hope that with the 17s and a slightly smaller tire that I'll be able to like actually tuck some tire maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully
17s
we
are
can
good.
hopefully we can make the suspension work sitting super low. That's like my goal because I want it to be like really, really low.
Sonics do.
We've got some ideas.
Sonic-
Tyler and I were brainstorming while
Yeah.
you were gone, actually.
Yeah,
So,
we've got some tricks up our sleeve that we're going to try this winter. Sonics do pretty solid in the snow.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Snow
I love
tires.
mine.
Snow tires, and you're good.
I always play this game too. I always go plus size in the winter.
Like
I
taller?
I go up a sidewall, down a width.
Yep.
Sometimes up 2 sidewalls and down 1 width at least.
It's shocking how much of a difference a skinnier tire makes in the
Yep.
winter.
The skinnier, the better. You want to
Yeah.
just cut through.
I've got those little 195s on the base model in the winter, and
Yeah.
good to go.
I can't
Yeah,
wait
it's-
to see those mounted up this year.
I think mine are 215 on
Yeah.
the Sonic, so like they're tiny.
Sebastian, I hate to say it, but your straight piped SL2 did not sound great.
No, it does not.
I had a straight piped SC2, and that thing was bad.
is that why you finished it with LOL?
Probably. They were surprisingly good sounding engines, but again, nothing straight pipe sounds good because of course I got it and I cut the muffler off, and you couldn't tune them, so it was rich and like the whole bumper's all black. And then, being 18-year-old Tyler, I then cut the rest of it off and went to an exhaust shop and said, "Here, dump it out the."
In front of the
driver-
tire, please.
Yeah, in front of the tire.
Oh, no.
And I drove around. That was so bad.
Let me guess. The first startup, you're like, oh boy, what did I do? And then a week later, you're like, but I kind of like it.
Yep. Exactly that.
That's what everybody does.
Because you're trying to justify it to
Yeah.
yourself, and you're like, man, I really don't want to redo this exhaust. So you drive around for a while. And you're like, yeah, this sounds good.
You're on your like second or third trip to Muffler Man, tweaking it, and you're like, all right, I'm done. It's been enough.
So it had no resonator, and then I fired up the Jegs catalog, and I found a glass pack, and I was like, all right, let's put that in there. So we put the glass pack in, and it sounded worse.
Definitely been there, man.
And then I ran around my hometown, and I got pulled over probably 10 times by the local police. But my smart ass figured out that to give me a ticket, they needed to give me an actual decibel reading, and they only had 1 decibel. I, hung out with the local car dudes, and they're like, pro tip, they only have 1 decibel meter in the whole county, and they usually hang out in Flint, so just stay away from the Flint
They can't
PD,
test it, yeah.
and they're not going to test it. They'll just get mad at you, and then you just kind of like, oh yeah, here, you pulled me over for my exhaust. And of course you're 18, so you think you're like big tough guy, and I'm like, yeah, I know what you're pulling me over for.
Sidetrack. So I've seen it a couple times now. There are people talking about antifreeze. Honestly, it doesn't matter, but don't mix.
Do not
so
mix.
if
Yep.
your car came with Dex, make sure to rinse it out completely before you switch it to green. But honestly, I run whatever came in it from the factory.
I've
If
never
it came
had
with
a-
Dex, I've run Dex. It's
I've
fine.
never had a problem with Dexcool. I know a lot of people, it gets gummed up and stuff, but
It only gets gummed up when it sees oxygen, because that's what
Oh.
Dexcool is. It's got this thing in it to where it makes the chemical reacts when it gets a leak, and then it kind of
Oh.
acts like your platelets. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, it does.
4
It
holes in your
grabs-
radiator. So green doesn't have that. Green is just gonna leak forever. But Dexcool has that in it. So that's why it turns to mud, because you have some old beater.
Yep.
It's got 160,000 miles on it. And, people are careless or mix coolants, and all of a sudden half your radiator is full of mud. So
or it's a Grand Prix and the coolant elbows are leaking, and
Yeah, there was a problem where the Dexcool ate the intake gaskets. That's where a lot of the 3800 negative connotation comes from. The gasket.
that's the little cut provision they have in them.
No, it's
They
the
break at those stupid little dimple in the intake runner. Like the
Maybe.
coolant pressure pushes on the rubber ring, and then there's this, I don't know, injection molding provision, and it goes plink, and then now you have a leak.
I don't know. I think the gasket material they used didn't get along with the Dexcool. It's like
It's
a
possible.
rubber O-ring. When it you expose it to something wrong, it gets all loose and flimsy. That's what the intake gaskets did, from my understanding. And if you've ever pulled an OEM one apart, they're definitely just falling apart.
Because
from the
what
Dexcool.
it is they cast the plastic intake gasket insert thing, and then they injection mold the rubber seal through it, and then so you have to have a passage for the rubber to make it to every hole.
Yep.
Well, that makes them weak in some spots, and then you have heat cold pushing on it, and then pop.
I've definitely mixed coolant in every single vehicle I've owned.
Just say it. Just say it.
I mean, I have in
None
the
of them
past
have,
for
none of
sure.
them exploded either.
Arcane, your bumper should not have melted. One, and this isn't anything against you, but one thing a lot of people make the mistake of when putting our cat back together, we send it in 4 pieces because it's easier for shipping and it's easier for installation. What a lot of people do is they'll put the resonator section on, put the next section on, tighten it down,
Yep.
put the next section on, tighten it down, put the muffler on, tighten it down, and then they're like, well, what the heck? It sits crooked, or it's touching something, or whatever. Just get it on there, get the clamps snug, but where you can still rotate the pipe. And, man, it makes installing those things, especially on a lift, so much easier.
And let's add, you cannot use a 3/8 ratchet to tighten each band clamp.
No.
Use a freaking impact
Use
gun.
an impact.
So put
Send it
everything
home.
together loose, wiggle and jiggle everything into a perfect fitment, and then just go on down the line and friggin' impact the heck out of all of them, like
Yeah,
100
it's meant
pounds.
to be crushed together.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way those band clamps work.
Yeah.
Is they need to crush around where the 2 pipes meet.
And
So,
then
yeah,
take
send
it
'em home.
take it for a drive around the block, and then go right back home
And do it
look
again.
look at your bumper to muffler tip gap.
Yeah.
And if it's not right, then loosen everything up, jiggle it around, tweak it a little bit, and take it for another drive.
And then one thing that I also learned from a buddy, and then just working on these, you can do 2 things with worm clamps. If your resonator's hanging a little low, put a worm drive clamp around that hanger and tighten it up, and it'll bring it up. And then if it, after all your finagling, if you can't get it perfectly center in your bumper, take tiny worm drive clamps and put them around the hangers, and then center your clamp right there. Send it home, and you're good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I saw that trick not too long ago. I just learned that one myself
Yeah.
not too long ago, and it's great.
Yeah, I mean, all of our exhaust pages have new hangers for your application. It's not a bad idea to grab some.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
rubber isolators get all blown out and wobbly, and
Every single time I do a 3800 downpipe, it gets 2 new O-rings in the center. Those ones always break.
There's
Yeah.
no reason not to replace them, if not get poly ones or shorter ones or whatever.
whatever. They're $5 or $8 or whatever.
Well, Tim's got to get out of here.
Yep.
You got
It's about
a
that
fitness
time.
competition to hit up.
Yep.
Good luck. Anyone have any final comments or
Happy
close it
winter
out at
beating.
that?
Stay out of the ditch.
Yeah,
Yep.
stay out of the ditches.
We'll see if
Yeah.
we get our first snowfall. Or technically second. We did have one weird one.
We
a couple
did?
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
It snowed like I don't even think the snow
Yeah.
stayed solid on the ground. It snowed though,
Missed
I
it.
don't
like a
remember that.
month ago, I think.
I
Like
must have been out of town.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Yeah. You guys have a good weekend.
good weekend.
Thanks for hanging out.
Peace.